This is your reality check.
Hi everyone, and welcome to The Reality Check, the Canadian show that explores a wide range of controversies and curiosities using science and critical thinking. I am your host, Darren McKee, and with me, as usual, is Adam Gardner.
What's up, cuboids?
We have a great show for you today, a bit of a legal-themed episode. I'm going to talk to you about Canada's apology laws.
Sorry about that.
I'm not sorry. But first, Adam, is that really illegal?
Good question, Darren. I've had this thing happen often where I'm driving and the kids want to turn on the light in the car. Basically, they want to read, they want to draw something, they want to see something. And I thought, I think that's illegal. But because I'm the person I am, I didn't just believe that it's illegal and instead decided I should look it up because maybe that's not really illegal. I later stumbled upon a video titled, "Your Parents Lied About the Law," which included this and many other things your parents told you were illegal, which may not be, or maybe are kind of illegal. And I thought this would make a nice segment because it kind of fit with the theme of our show. The video was from a social media page called Legal Eagle. So I think this guy mainly has a YouTube page, and then his stuff gets shared to various social media sites. The ones on Facebook have particularly bad cropping, which is where I usually see them.
I actually like that guy. I think he's pretty good.
I do as well. So I've seen a lot of his videos. Often he'll take some question about whether something which is in popular culture or is a common belief is true and what the real legality about it is. Some of the fun ones are reacting to movies. For example, what laws does Kevin break in Home Alone? The legality of Jurassic Park and fun things like that. So it's an interesting account, and looking at what he's posted recently, he seems to be going for political outrage type stuff, which I think he's probably doing it because he gets good numbers. It's probably tracking well. So the lawyer is American and usually looks at American laws, which vary state by state. But I'll try to also talk about what the Canadian equivalent of these things are. So I'll start by tackling the whole light issue because that was kind of the one that made me think of this topic. Simply put, there is no law saying that you can't drive with the light in your car on. The light is technically called a dome light, and the lawyer's verdict is that your parents probably lied. Now, I disagree with the framing of his conclusion here. Were my parents wrong when they claimed that it was illegal to drive with the light in your car on? Yes. Were they lying? I don't think so. I think they were just mistaken, and I think there's a big crucial difference there. So probably some parents did lie to their children, but I think a lot of them were just wrong.
Yes, they did not overtly intend to deceive you. They were just deceived themselves.
Yes. So if I asked my parents today if it was illegal, they'd probably say, oh, yes, of course. So it is legal to drive with the light on in the US and in Canada. So I guess it's fine for me to leave it on when my kids want me to. Wait a minute. I'm not only Canadian, but I also live in and do a lot of my driving in the province of Quebec. This province of maple syrup, French language laws, and beautiful women also has stricter driving laws. In this case, and I quote, "With the exception of dashboard lighting, all lights inside a vehicle must be turned off to avoid the risk of glare."
Mon Dieu.
So there is no specific law or fine related to this, but it could be considered careless driving or obstructed vision, and is best not to take a chance. The glare thing is the reason why it's dangerous, and it makes some sense. So like any other window, you can easily see through to the other side if there's more light on the side you're not on, right? This is how one-way mirrors and things like that work. This is why you can't see into a house during the day, but you can easily see into one at night if the lights are on inside and it's dark outside.
Well, the implication there, though, is that you can't have tinted windows in Quebec either, which you can. So
there's laws about the level of tint, and you can have tint up here and not in the front of the car, and you can have it on the side windows differently. There's a lot of very specifics. I'm not a car guy, but you can have illegal tint and they can stop you and give you a fine for illegal tint. I don't know how they even measure that, but it's definitely a thing for car people. I don't know why people want I don't know. I'm not a car guy. I don't understand the appeal of tinted windows, but it's a thing.
I guess it has some sort of secrecy.
Yeah.
Like wearing sunglasses, I guess. I'm not a big car guy either, so someone's going to write in and complain. But as a driver, it's really annoying when you can't see through other people's cars to the rest of the road you might want to see.
Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah. I mean, I can think of a practical purpose of I just don't want the sun in my eyes, but I feel like it's going to just reduce your visibility in general, right?
Sure. But how often do the back rear windows get sun in your eyes? It's just not as common. And the back rear window, I want to be able to see the car in front.
Yep. Yeah, I understand. So depending on how dark it is, how well lit the street is, it may be difficult to drive with the dome light on. That said, I did a test this past weekend. I was on country roads, no lighting, total darkness, only low beam headlights. The dome light didn't really change my visibility much at all. Also, something I noticed afterwards, 2 of my front lights were burnt out, so I was still able to see pretty well. I'm hoping I'm going to get a new car soon. It's pretty rough.
Is it actually illegal to have your front light outs?
Absolutely. You can get a fine, yes. And now I have recorded evidence of me breaking the law.
Funny.
Yes, you can get a fine if you have a light that's burnt out. Yes. I generally, in the past, have always strived to replace them, but I may just replace the car.
I'm just asking. It'd be funny if the cop stops you for the dome light, interior light, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't stop me for the other lights that are actually illegal."
Yeah, that's always a challenge.
No driving at night for Adam, or only high beams.
Just driving with my high beams, right in people's eyes and stuff. That's also illegal or frowned upon or whatever in Quebec. There is actually specific rules about high beams and not flashing them into oncoming traffic.
Yes.
So like I said, dome light on in your car, not generally illegal in the US and most of Canada, but it could be contributing to distracted driving, which may be illegal. So another one that the video mentions is the idea that you can't leave a kid home alone. It claims that this is a lie, but I don't really think this is totally accurate. So some states have somewhat vaguely worded restrictions on leaving young kids at home. It's just that they aren't usually specific about an age cutoff, while others are. So usually the myth that people will propagate is you can't leave a kid at home under X age, right?
Yeah, I've heard under the age of 12.
Yeah. So in Ontario, for example, you are generally advised not to leave a child under about 10 at home, and there are laws about leaving kids under 16 alone for long periods without reasonable provisions.
Like food?
Yeah, exactly. So don't leave on a cruise while your 14-year-old is home alone, but it's a sort of gray area related to the actual risk and how, what you're leaving them with and things like that.
What if the whole family goes on a trip and they leave a young child home alone?
I think he tackles that in the Home Alone video, and I think they've probably done something wrong, but I think they realize that. So unfortunately, these vague rules often leave people to worry more about what could be just fine. So Quebec similarly doesn't have a set age, but parents need to consider the context, maturity of the child, length of the absence, and time of day. Maybe you can leave your kid for an hour in the day. Leaving them in the middle of the night might not be a good idea.
You leave your kid for a couple hours during the day and they have their phone. They won't even notice.
Yeah, they might not even see you're gone. So like with Canadian provinces, it varies state by state. And I think it's all a bit silly. There are no fixed rules, but there are norms related to what's appropriate, and the law can and will make a judgment based on those norms. You won't get in trouble for leaving a 16-year-old at home while you do the groceries. You will probably have your kids taken away for leaving a 6-year-old at home while you go to work or leave on a vacation. Between those things, use your judgment and don't worry about strict rules. So we live in a society that's kind of obsessed with safetyism, and it's important for children to learn independence, and there's a smart and responsible way to do this. So use your judgment, and if you think that you can defend that decision, it is probably fun. A more safety-obsessed culture will have a legal system that follows those norms, even if the law hasn't changed. So you can only really go against the grain so much before you might get in trouble. So again, this video claims the parents lie. I'd say more likely the parents just don't know what to believe. They may just be mistaken. They heard it incorrectly from someone else and they passed it on. Next one, skipping school. Is it illegal to skip school? So I wonder if...
Truancy,
exactly. I didn't even know that word until I researched this segment. So I wonder if whether it's legal or not matters if it's against school policy. Depends what you mean by illegal. It depends on where you live. So in California, for example, more than 3 excused absences makes the child truant, which is against the law. And this means an absence without a valid reasons. But valid reasons can include religious holidays, family vacations, medical appointments, illnesses, suspensions, family emergencies, being the victim of bullying, taking a mental health day. So I think a better way to say it is that the valid reason is the one the parents can excuse, while an invalid reason is just the kid chooses to skip class. Mm-hmm. I recall when I was in school, you needed a note if you were under 18. And then when you were 18, you could excuse your own absences. And I tried this once when I was in high school, because when I was in high school, it went up to OAC, grade 13. I was 19 and I wrote my own letter that said I had a dentist appointment. The vice principal called me out on it, said he didn't believe me and gave me detention anyway. So I was like, that was the only time I tried to get away with it. Meanwhile, people were skipping school all the time. I was like, whatever.
But you actually did not have the dental appointment?
Nope.
Oh.
No, I skipped class. I legitimately skipped class. He was right to call me on it, but I was very annoyed.
No tooth there.
I was more annoyed at the inconsistency.
Of course. Yes.
So this will depend where you live, but generally, a child between the ages of 6 and 16 or 18 in Canada can't miss too much school, or they'll be guilty of truancy. They won't put a kid in jail for this, but it could result in a fine, probation, or child services being involved. That's usually the parents that get those
I
ramifications.
guess back in the day, they would have locked up the kid or the parents or both.
Yeah, maybe. Lock them up in the school, pretty much. So I know a lot of people that skipped a lot of school when I was a teenager, and while they'd certainly involved the parents, maybe a guidance counselor, I never heard of the police being involved. I'm talking like one guy probably missed like 80+% of his classes. Like they didn't do anything. Like, I don't know.
And now he's selling crypto?
I have no idea. He's probably successful. He was a really smart guy. He just didn't want to go to class. He was not motivated. So this, of course, varies by place. I took my kids out of school for a day to go on a trip to see a show in New York once. Their mother was taking them out for week-long trips. But as I understand it, they're quite strict about this in other countries, like in the UK, where there's a fine for taking your kids out of school. Yeah, so if you miss school in the UK without a reason, you can get a parenting class or a fine. Costs £80 for the first offense, £160 for the second. And if they're off school 3 or more times within 3 years, the parents can be taken to court and they can be fined up to £2,500 and jailed up to 3 months.
And jailed?
Yeah. So they're pretty serious about that. So I remember going on a trip once and someone was like, oh, they take the kids out. Oh, you just pay the fine. I'm like, the fine? What are you guys talking about? It's a whole different world.
Once again, like rich people just pay fines.
Yeah, I think so. So yes, technically it's illegal in some places and in some circumstances, but usually people are not going to face legal charges for having their kids skip school. And are parents lying to scare their kids or just misinformed? It's probably both. But I think it is safe to say there are probably some parents that lie to their children to make them go to school.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Many parents lie to their children for all sorts of things.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. You're not going to cover, like, you're going to go to hell if you don't X, Y, Z.
Oh, that's a different level of lie.
Well, actually, maybe it might not be a lie from the parents' point of view.
I think a lot of parents believe that.
Yep.
Maybe more parents than their children believe that. Yeah. Or Santa Claus is not going to give
Santa
you a
Claus
present.
Is a lie.
That's a big one.
That's a clear lie.
Yeah. My daughter's
Unless the parent actually believes in Santa Claus, which is unlikely.
My daughter's got this idea that threats aren't allowed. I'm like, no, I'm allowed to make a threat to you if I intend to carry through on it. It's not like wrong. Not like a threat of violence, but like I can threaten a consequence for something she's doing.
Funny. Or provide a consequence.
Yeah. Anyway,
actions have consequences. No, they don't. That's illegal. You're like,
yeah, parenting is very difficult.
No kidding, man.
So another one is driving barefoot. I covered this in episode 254, so I won't get too much into it, but so much to say it is not illegal to drive barefoot. It is not explicitly illegal in any U.S. state. It may be a bit dangerous. I've done it in the summer when I'm wearing sandals, take them off, drive barefoot. Not a problem. So this seems more of a myth and false belief. I don't believe that parents intentionally lie to their children about it because by the time your children are old enough to drive, you're not really in the like Santa Claus lying stage.
Yeah. I thought this was illegal at some point.
Yeah.
And now I just see it as like likely impractical. It's depending on how you drive, it's just you don't have as much traction. Yeah,
it just might not be comfortable and there might be like rocks in the on the bottom of the car. There is a law against reckless driving and you could potentially argue like if someone did get in an accident because they were barefoot and they like they hit the pedal too softly or it slipped or something. But explicitly, no, that is not an illegal thing. Another one is riding in the back of a pickup truck. So this one to me seems a bit silly. I did this often as a teenager. I just assumed it was illegal. We just did it anyway because we need a room. I remember once on Canada Day sitting in the back of a pickup truck with a bunch of people. We were waving flags and hollering at cars and stuff like that. And we passed a police car and I was like, oh boy, this is bad. And it was fine. Didn't do anything. The guy just like pretended not to notice and we moved on.
It was Canada Day though.
It was Canada Day. It's like, this guy's got worse problems than these like teenagers who are just hollering in the back of a car.
But it is actually illegal, is it not?
Absolutely. It is not explicitly forbidden in many places, but it is illegal because it's covered by seatbelt laws.
Yeah.
So some states just don't have seatbelt laws, so you can kind of do what you want. But there are generally no seatbelts in the back of a pickup truck. So in many places, it is illegal to drive without a seatbelt. So it becomes illegal to just not have a seatbelt in the back of a pickup truck. There are states where, I don't know, check out your own states. I think in Canada, there's probably nowhere that it's okay to drive without a seatbelt. But I think in the States, there's probably more because they're all freedom focused and things like that. You know?
Free or die, man.
I thought this was America. So parents are probably right to tell their children that it's illegal. And in some cases, they might not actually know whether it's illegal or not. But they may also be correct that it is illegal and also right to say it because you shouldn't have your kids just kind of flopping around in the back of a pickup truck. It's very dangerous.
Like fish.
Yeah. I mean, we did it because whatever, but if the truck flipped, you you just die. Like, it's...
Well, almost anything. Truck hits something, you fly out.
Yeah,
you could fall out. You could hit yourself, break hard, smash your head against something.
Oh, yeah. Like, you would slide around. Like, it's... Yeah. But, as a teenager, I thought it was immortal, so... Next is a favorite of mine, leaving pennies on a railroad track. I never heard about this being illegal. I never thought about it being illegal, and I did it often. It's a really fun activity. It really flattens the pennies. You should see what it looks like. They're like oval shaped when they come out, and they're like, it's smooth. You can just kind of see the picture that was on it before. I would often walk on train tracks, leave pennies on them, and then basically I'd come back the next day. I didn't have the patience to like sit and wait for the train. So the idea seems to be that it's illegal to put a penny on a train track because it could somehow derail the train.
Oh,
that's absurd. The train is huge, heavy. A penny is tiny. It's even somewhat malleable by the fact that it actually gets crushed when the train hits it. So it could not derail a train. Having debris on the tracks isn't great for the train and is dangerous if the debris is very big. But it's got to be much bigger than pennies. So,
well, how many pennies? Listeners, write in for your guess on how many pennies would derail a train.
They should do a Mythbusters where we put $3 million worth of pennies on this train track and we killed a bunch of people. They probably have a robot conductor or something.
Safety first.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd figure it out. So does that mean it's legal? Well, that depends. Many states have laws against interfering with railroad property, which would, in a sense, include putting obstructions on the track, otherwise obstructing the train. That obstruction could include a penny, though no reasonable legal system would construe that as a true threat to the train. It may still technically be illegal. But just being there could be a problem. Just walking on or across train tracks at any place but a proper crossing is in many places considered to be illegal, as it's a form of trespassing. Basically, the tracks are a form of private property. It's not a road. It's not a trail, which is public. So even those kids that stand by me walking down the train tracks are actually doing something illegal.
I think most of what they did was illegal.
Oh, probably. Like, yeah, I don't know where their parents were. They were just
Truancy.
Like, whatever. Yeah, there was some truancy involved. And yeah, it's a fun movie, though. And finally, and somewhat related, is Ding Dong Ditch. So I have a neighbor that loves to do this to us. Basically, you ring the doorbell and you run away, and then you go to the door and there's no one there.
Current neighbor?
My next door neighbor.
As an adult?
No, it's a child. It's a child.
Okay,
It's my daughter's age. So if a person has a sign that says no trespassing, you're actually not able to knock on someone's door. But if someone has a reason to be there, it's generally legal to knock on a door or ring a doorbell. But if you're playing Ding Dong Ditch, you don't have a good reason to be there. So this could be construed as trespassing. Now, I'd like to see a cop that would actually arrest a kid over this. But they might bring them home to their parents or something. So my neighbor knows that she is welcome to play on my property or visit my kids. So I wouldn't consider it trespassing if she was playing Ding Dong Ditch on my door. But, your mileage may vary.
Although if she gets hurt and you have to defend yourself, that's her problem.
So, did parents lie to their kids about all these laws? Sometimes, maybe. Usually not. I think most of these are parents who are wrong about some specifics for things, but even for things that are not explicitly illegal, there is often some possible broken law related to child negligence, distracted driving, or trespassing, which actually makes a not explicitly illegal thing something which you could actually still get in legal trouble for. So don't lie to your kids to get them to listen to you. Actually, I do this kind of thing all the time. Kids don't listen. Do whatever you can to try to get them to listen and do what you want to say. It's really difficult. I know it's rough out there. Just do your best and try to keep them out of jail, both as kids and as adults.
Bribe them, whatever means necessary.
That is sometimes a useful strategy. You don't want to overdo it, but don't take parenting advice from me. I'm struggling as much as you.
That's very kind of you and humble. Interesting stuff. And certainly many of those I was raised with the thought that those were illegal.
Sure.
I don't think my parents were deceiving me intentionally. So they were just misled and just basically spreading misinformation is what we call it now.
So I think the difference between lying and being mistaken is similar to the difference between kind of disinformation and misinformation.
Yes. So disinformation is intentionally aiming to deceive people or cause harm. And misinformation is usually unknowingly spreading false information. So there could be a state like perhaps Russia trying to cause harm and spread false information. And then people might see this on Facebook. They think it's true and then they share it. And then they become a sort of an unwitting conspirator in spreading what is them, for their purposes, misinformation, but was originally disinformation.
Mm-hmm. So in this case, I would say many of these cases are misinformation. We don't need to attribute it as being disinformation.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there's that many people like a big orchestrated plot about trying to deceive children in this particular way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But of course, if they do deceive them, they should probably say sorry. Canada's apology laws. You don't say, Adam. Well, today I wanted to talk to you about Canada's apology laws. And this is coincidental. Adam and I don't usually coordinate that much in advance. We just happen to have 2 legally themed segments. Mm-hmm. The cat one was a bit different.
Yeah.
So instead of a scientific curiosity, today it's a bit more of a northern one, as I'm going to dive into the uniquely Canadian blend of psychology, law, and cultural anthropology. Mm. And yes, it starts with a word we're internationally famous for. Sorry.
Sorry.
Or sorry, as I sometimes say. If you're Canadian, you already know sorry is less an apology and more of a form of punctuation. We say it when someone bumps into us. Yep. We say it when we pass someone in the grocery aisle. We say it when we start a sentence, end a sentence, and sometimes when we're not even involved in the situation. It's practically a reflex, a linguistic knee-jerk sorry. But that reflexive sorry is so deeply baked into our behavior that it started causing problems in court. Imagine you're in a car accident. You step out of your vehicle, your heart's pounding. Oh no. And the first thing out of your mouth, because you're Canadian, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Not because you caused the crash, but because, well, you're Canadian and you're socialized in this country. For decades, lawyers and insurers worried that these instinctive apologies could be interpreted as admissions of guilt.
Oh.
And that's where human behavior meets the machinery of law. So, Canada's apology acts have now entered the chat. There's not one federal law for this, but a patchwork of provincial and territorial legislation, all designed to protect the humble sorry from being weaponized. These laws say that an apology, whether it's expressing sympathy, regret, or just being polite, cannot be used as evidence of liability in civil court and can't void your insurance coverage.
Wow.
To briefly cover the 2 most populous provinces, the Ontario version, the Apology Act 2009, is one of the clearest examples. It explicitly states that an apology, verbal or written, doesn't count as an admission of fault and can't be used against you in civil, administrative, or arbitration proceedings. The only exceptions are criminal cases and apologies made while testifying. Sorry, I killed you, eh? Oop. So if you blurt out sorry at the scene of a mishap, Ontario law basically pats you on the back and says, don't worry, that's just your Canadian showing. The Outre-Provence, other province, is Quebec. It takes a slightly different route because, of course it does.
Because there's a French word for sorry.
Quebec doesn't have a standalone apology act, but its civil code already treats apologies as expressions of sympathy rather than admissions of liability.
Valid.
In other words, Quebec arrived at the same destination through a different legal philosophy. An apology is just an apology, not a confession. Mm-hmm. So whether you're in Toronto or Trois-Rivières, your instinctive désolé won't land you in legal hot water. Adam's smiling.
Yeah.
But another part of why this is interesting isn't further legal considerations, but psychological ones. So research shows that apologies, even non-guilty ones, reduce anger, increase cooperation, and help people resolve conflicts faster.
Oh, is that nice?
Again, in general. Doctors who apologize get sued less. Customer service reps who apologize calm people down more efficiently and effectively than those who offer compensation. I guess it depends on the situation. And humans are wired to respond to empathy, which, of course, some people exploit. So the apology acts aren't just about protecting polite Canadians from their own instincts. They're about encouraging healthier social interactions. They remove the fear that saying something human will come back to haunt you in a courtroom. And here's the applicability to our critical thinking listeners more broadly. These laws remind us that words don't always mean what they appear to mean. What? Can't always be literal.
Yeah.
Context matters. Culture matters. Behavioral science matters. Sorry in Canada isn't the same as a sorry in a legal drama. It's a social lubricant, a gesture of empathy, and a way of acknowledging the shared space. So, next time someone bumps into you and you say sorry, take comfort. You're not admitting fault. You're participating in a national behavioral experiment. One so powerful, we had to write laws to keep up with it.
That's very funny. I think, and maybe different people mean different things by apologies, but I think you can say, I'm sorry, and not mean any fault. I'm simply sorry that this thing has happened to you. I think that is a valid usage of the term, and that's kind of legitimate. And you sometimes hear people say this like, oh, someone's got like a public apology for, some social gaffe or whatever. And they'll say like, oh, that wasn't a real apology because the apology will not admit fault.
Of course. I'm sorry you feel that way.
Exactly. I'm sorry you took offense to the statements, or I'm sorry people were offended. And yes, maybe the thing you were looking for was accountability. maybe the person legitimately doesn't feel accountability and cannot honestly, sort of fall on the sword if they don't believe it. But that is also a legitimate usage of an apology, right? It's just like it's a different type. It is not the one you're looking for. It is not accountability, but that's it's a proper usage of the word sorry, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, linguistically, yes,
Yes.
you're allowed to use it.
Yeah.
I think it depends, as you know, on context.
Yep.
And sometimes if someone has been the transgressor and they say to you, "I'm sorry you feel that way,"
Yes.
that's making it even worse.
Oh, absolutely. And anyway, I struggle with this with my kids too. So if one of them hurts the other or whatever, I'll say, you have to apologize.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a very insincere apology, or sometimes they'll refuse to apologize. So if one of them accidentally hurts the other, I will ask them to apologize. And they will say, well, I didn't mean to do it, so I don't want to apologize. I said, if it was an accident, it's still valid to apologize. You hurt the other person, and you should apologize to be nice.
It should be even easier.
Yes. So,
Well, I mean, you have to train them, right? That's what's happening at this stage.
yeah. So the training's a work in progress.
This is not the apology you're looking for. Just as a quick follow-up, although I made it seem like this was exclusively Canadian, it's not. Other countries also have similar laws. The United States has this in like 20 to 30 states. There's something in UK, something in Australia, some Commonwealth stuff there. But Canada is a bit unique in the sense that they're not as uniformly adopted. We have them in every single province, and that's not quite the case in other countries.
I think that also reflects the difference between our countries. I think laws across Canada, even though provinces still have their own little things, are a little more uniform. Whereas the U.S. is like a collection of small countries that all kind of have their own norms and laws and rules and all sorts of things. It's an interesting tapestry.
There you go. Well, also the population sizes too. Yeah, they are like small countries.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us once again, listeners. Adam talked to us about what isn't illegal, and turns out most of the things you want to do in a car are just fine. And I'm not going to apologize for apologizing in Canada. Until next time, think better, act better.
Sorry, cuboids.
For show notes or to discuss this episode, visit our Facebook page and website at trcpodcast.com. For general inquiries or to send a topic or parody suggestion, email info@trcpodcast.com. Help support the show by leaving a review on iTunes and liking us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at TRC_podcast.
Outtakes.
Sorry, Adam, editor.
That's all right. It's all right, past Darren. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. I'll invoke a stand your ground
Exactly.
against the like
child.
9-year-old kid that lives next door.
Bing bong. That was your first mistake.
Maybe I shouldn't joke about murdering.
And you say to your neighbor, like, hey, you should listen to my podcast sometimes. Oh, yeah, what's it about?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's up to you how much of that you keep in.
Yeah, I'll see. Maybe it's an outtake.